morning, everyone. Thank you, Mike, and the Society of Strategic Management for the invitation. I would like to also thank my colleague René Guedes from our firm who helped me to create this presentation. I will speak today about strategy innovation as a way of developing an engine to drive sustainable growth. And I will use the case of Burger King to illustrate some points. There are two dimensions in this case that are very interesting for the purpose of this conference. First of all is the acquisition itself. Brazilian, New York-based private equity fund, 3G Capital, has recently purchased Burger King for $3.26 billion. And let's understand some of the motivations for this great deal. First of all, we have some factors, some facts in Brazil that are providing a solid ground and motivations for Brazilian companies to expand globally. First, political stability over the last 15 years in Brazil. Bovespa is now between the most attractive stock markets in the world, and we have now a very regulated and safe financial system in Brazil. Our economy is doing great. Our currency is strong against the US dollar. We have a growing direct flow of investments in the Brazilian economy. And recently, we have watched some very relevant consolidation movements in some important sectors in Brazil, from retail to banking and telecom. And it has become tougher for Brazilian companies to grow through M&A, mergers and acquisitions locally. So I try to summarize some of the elements that open new business horizons for Brazilian companies. And the Brazilian economy, due to the vigorous internal market and some advances in management practices, developed internationally competitive players. Brazilian companies have already started to expand globally, and we have Brazilian investment banks, private equity firms that accumulated high volumes of capital, developing a strong purchasing power in order to grow globally through acquisitions. And some of these motivations created the conditions for 3G Capital to purchase Burger King. And let's try to understand the logic behind the strategy. 3G Capital seeks for global undervalued brands in businesses with successful critical factors where 3G Capital has core competencies. Businesses with high cash flow levels, high liquidity. So why the fast food business is interesting for Burger King, for 3G Capital, for example? First, because 3G Capital has a successful experience in retail with Lojas Americanas in Brazil. Already have a small share in Wendy's, a fast food retail, American retail fast food business. Also has experience in consumer goods. All of them very important elements in the value chain of a fast food business. And also, 3G Capital has a successful experience in turnaround, in the management of low-margin businesses, and also in logistics. The new CEO of Burger King is from 3G Capital and was recently, until recently, the CEO of America Latina Logística, the largest logistic company in Brazil. So the business is attractive, the fast food business is attractive, and that motivated 3G Capital to acquire Burger King. The most beautiful dimension of this acquisition is not the acquisition itself, but for us, the challenge of how to generate value after the acquisition has been made. So, what is the challenge here? First, Burger King will face great opponents. If you look at these maps, you can see how McDonald's in some core markets like the United States is dominating the market, and the market is saturated. So how can I be perceived as unique through my clients, and generate value with Burger King in this business? And the challenge is not only how to beat or how to catch up with McDonald's in a so saturated market. Also, the challenge is to beat the McDonald's strategy. And what is interesting is that until recently, in 2003, McDonald's entered in a deep crisis. And what happened with McDonald's that forced McDonald's to reinvent its strategy? First, McDonald's was suffering from what we named the environment call for strategy innovation. A growing concern about the growing levels of overweight and obesity in some core markets they were making the business of the junkie food business less attractive. And the junkie food business was suffering because of some external shocks, relevant changes in consumer behavior and lifestyle, supported by the battle against the growing obesity in some core markets. For example, in the United States, 1 in 3 US children are overweight. That's why the first American lady, Michelle Obama, is accounted personally to lead Let's Move, an organization which is accounted for fighting against the obesity in children in the United States. So McDonald's was suffering with these new external shocks. And in 2003, a new CEO called Jim Cantalupo stepped in to lead the turnaround of McDonald's. And what he did was very interesting. He tried to review the strategy, and he tried to find new answers for the 3 core elements of any strategy. First, who is really our customer segments? What is the customer value proposition of McDonald's? And how or what activities should we develop distinctiveness in order to deliver this value proposition to those primary customers? This framework is very simple, but we have already applied successfully in more than 50 companies, and it's a very simple but powerful way to understand the strategy. And let's see what happened with McDonald's. Until 2003, believe it or not, but the primary customer of McDonald's was not the people who went to their restaurants to eat their sandwiches. Instead, McDonald's was seeing the primary customer as the multi-site real estate developers and also the franchise owners. And if this is the case, and if McDonald's they choose the strategy of low total cost strategy. And to this strategy, the value proposition is straightforward. Fast service in a low budget dining, not casual dining, convenience through massive presence, standardized and restricted menu, because in this strategy, variety kills efficiency, and a standardized and unpleasant restaurant design, because the focus is in the customer turnover. You must go to the restaurant, buy the sandwich, and please go away, because we need to scale our operation. And what are the distinctive activities that McDonald's developed through those years? First, real estate development and management, of course. Job positioning and site selection. Just a curiosity, some banks in Brazil when they are trying to figure out what is the best place to position a new retail branch in a neighborhood, they wait to see the next movement of McDonald's, because they are masters in defining the best location for a restaurant store. And then, as I said, when you define who is your primary customer, defining your primary customer determines how you allocate your resources through your value chain. So McDonald's developed centralized corporate functions to support real estate development, franchising, and the procurement. Also, McDonald's developed the Hamburger University in order to deliver operations training and leadership development. McDonald's was very competent also in mass marketing and brand management. The problem is that this strategy, this magic formula, was not working anymore, because it was not coping anymore with the environment, with the demands of the customers that were changing habits. So what happened is that in 2003, when Jim Cantalupo was invited to turn around McDonald's, the first thing he said in McDonald's for the executives was, my friends, the new boss at McDonald's is the real consumer. The family, the families that goes to the restaurants seeking for family fun, and not the real estate developers and the franchising owners anymore. And let's see what these customers are demanding, and let's redesign our customer value proposition. That's why they added new features to the value proposition, increasingly menu offerings and healthier foods, of course, salads, juices, menu and restaurant design and image customized for local habits. This was something, this is a paradigm shift in the strategy of McDonald's, because now they are focusing on the overall customer satisfaction. For example, in Portugal, McDonald's serves soup for their clients. In France, the burgers come with French cheeses. The Paris Design Center of McDonald's offers 9 different types of restaurant image to provide the right ambiance for the new franchisee who wants to develop a new restaurant really on code with the profile of the local consumer. And then they had to develop new distinctive activities in their value chain. So they developed also R&D and menu management, menu innovation, try to figure out how to answer the call of the real consumer. They also developed distinctiveness in restaurant reimagining and operations planning. And as they answered in a different way who is the primary customer, they allocated resources in a new way. So, for example, right now, regional managers are empowered to customize local menu and share store amenities. And the results are straightforward. McDonald's was one of the only 2 US companies that ended 2008 with a gain in its stock price. The other one was Walmart. And if you see the sales behavior in McDonald's during the most aggressive periods of the crisis, during recession, the sales were doing great. And look what was happening with Burger King. So the strategy innovation in McDonald's was effective. And now Burger King has to deal with this also. That's what probably 3G Capital realized. If you see, the strategy of Burger King is old-fashioned. Who is the primary customer in Burger King? What they call junky food lovers. They are proud to say that in their customer value proposition, they have big burgers, the most caloric menu. They say that you can get more burger for your buck in Burger King. They are proud of their flame-broadened taste and their standardized restaurant design and image and menu offerings. Until recently, they were not serving breakfast in the stores. And they developed some distinctive activities to deliver this value proposition. A franchise strategy and a funding model very consistent with this strategy. And also tried to develop some innovative marketing campaigns in order to beat McDonald's. Of course, this strategy is old-fashioned. And I am positive that 3G Capital figured out this. Undervalued brand with a strategy old-fashioned, they can redefine the who, the what, and the how of Burger King and lead a turnaround in Burger King. So what the message I would like to deliver here today is that the greatest challenge after deciding to grow, to expand globally through acquisitions, is how to generate value. And strategy innovation is one example that is very effective. We have dozens of cases of Brazilian companies doing that, and also international companies that answering differently the who, the what, and the how, they are really creating value. Thank you very much.